Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Hare Krishna. So we will begin from today our study on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and we are starting from the 10th canto because we are approaching Janmāṣṭamī. So the first 9 cantos give a prelude to come to the 10th canto to understand what is the 10th canto. 10th canto is compared to the smiling face of the Lord. I will discuss each canto. What is this compared to? Why? Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says in Chaitanya Bhagavat that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. It is none other than the transcendental form of the Lord. Grantha Rupe Bhāgavate Kṛṣṇa Avatar. So in the form of Bhagavat, the incarnation of the Supreme Lord advents. And actually, each limb of the Lord is compared to each canto. There are total 12 cantos. And very beautifully, as Mahaprabhu says, that Grantha Rupe Bhāgavate Kṛṣṇa Avatar. So Krishna appears in the form of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So the first 2 cantos are compared with the Lord's lotus feet. Pāḍau yadiyam prathama dvitiyam tritiya turyam kathitam yaduru. The first 2 cantos are the 2 lotus feet of the Lord. Pāḍau yadiyo prathama and dvitiya. Prathama means the first and dvitiya means the second. So it is compared with the 2 lotus feet of the Lord. And the 3rd and the 4th canto, Tritiya Turyam Kathitam Yaduru. It is compared to Lord's thighs. Both the transcendental thighs of the Lord is compared to the 3rd and the 4th canto. And the 5th canto, the Pancham Skandha, it is Nabhes Tatha Panchamassthanam. 5th canto is the navel. Lord's navel is compared to lotus. Namo Pankajanaabhaya. The 5th canto is compared to Lord's lotus navel. And 6th canto is compared to Lord's Vakshasthal, his chest, but it is also called Bhujantaram. Bhujantaram means between the 2 bhujas, the 2 baju, that area. That is the chest. So, eva shashto bhujantaram poshanam. So, poshanam, the nourishment of all the jivas are by the Bhujantara, by the Vakshasthala of the Lord. The Lord keeps his pure devotee near to his Vakshasthala. Then the 7th and the 8th canto, it is compared to Dur Yugalam Tathantam. It is the arms, the two arms, the two very powerful arms of the Lord. It is considered to be the 7th and the 8th canto. Dur Yugalam Tatha Arnyam. And the 9th canto is the Kantha. Kanthas tu Rajam Navama. The 9th canto is compared to the beautiful neck of the Lord. And the 10th canto, the most elaborate canto, it is compared to the beautiful smiling face of the Lord. Yadiyo mukharavindam dashamam prafullam. The 10th canto is the beautiful, full smiling face of the Lord. And 11th canto is compared to the forehead. Ekadasho yasya lalatpattam. Lalatpattam. The forehead is the 11th canto. And the 12th canto is the head. Shiro api dvadasha eva bhati. So all the 12 cantos are compared to the different limbs, the transcendental limbs of the Supreme Lord. This verse is stated from Padma Purāṇa. And what is the glory? Tvamadi devam karunanidhanam tamal varnam suhitavatanam apar samsar samudra seto bhajamahe Bhāgavata swarupam. So Tvamadi devam karunanidhanam. So the Lord, who is the Adidev, who is the origin of all, he is not just the origin of all, he is also Karunanidhanam. He is the Nidhi. Nidhi means the ocean of compassion. So he is the ocean of mercy. And what is his beautiful form, his color? Tamal Varnam. His color, his complexion, his radiance is compared to the tamal tree, which is dark. And he appears Suhita Avataram, for the welfare of everyone, in the form of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Apara samsara samudra seta. And his appearance is to bridge the gap. He wants to provide as the bridge to cross over the unfathomable ocean of material existence. And how he has appeared? Bhajamahe Bhāgavata Swarupa. He has appeared in the transcendental form of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Okay, so we will begin the 10th canto. And Prabhupada in the 10th canto gives the summary of the 10th canto. So I'll first read the summary, and then we will come to the verses of the 10th canto. So the 10th canto is the advent of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Prabhupada has given a brief introduction of the advent of Lord Kṛṣṇa in the 10th canto. How many of you are having Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Please keep your Bhāgavatam now with you. Open the 10th canto, the first part. Only 2. What about rest? Okay, Ravindra Prabhu, you also have. Ganesh, where is your book? Show me the book. Okay, very good. Very good. Devadatta, you don't have Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam with you?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am having, but it is in Odia.
No, you should take one English version of Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Don't delay. You should have taken it yesterday. What are you waiting for? Manoram Prabhu? Where is your set of
Kṛṣṇa,
copies?
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, actually, I have to ship it, Prabhuji. It is
So
Delhi,
you ship
Prabhuji.
it, you tell there Srila Prabhu to ship it.
Yes, yes.
When the 6 months will be over, then you will receive it. No, it should be ready. Before the class, I arranged to get a new version. I got a new book. That shows that we are not very serious about it. Once I said that we will begin Bhagavatam, when I yesterday said that you should have the copy, is it very difficult to arrange? But the consciousness has not been connected so far. You have to connect. Okay, I'm reading the summary. My request is everyone must have an English version of Srila Prabhupada's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, full set. If you need, I can ship it to you. The Advent of Lord Kṛṣṇa, Introduction. The summary of the first chapter is as follows. This is the first chapter of the 10th canto. 10th canto is by far the longest canto. It has 90 chapters. This chapter describes how Kamsa, frightened by hearing an omen about his being killed by the 8th son of Devaki, killed Devaki's son one after another. When Sukdev Goswami finished describing the dynasty of Yadu, as well as the dynasties of the moon god and sun god, Maharaj Parikshit requested him to describe Lord Kṛṣṇa, who appeared with Baldev in the Yadu dynasty, and how Kṛṣṇa performed his activities within this world. Kṛṣṇa is transcendental, the king said, and therefore to understand his activities is the occupation of liberated persons. Kṛṣṇa is transcendental, and to understand his activities is the occupation of liberated persons. Hearing of Krishna Lila is the boat by which to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Except for an animal killer or one who is following the policy of suicide, every intelligent person must strive to understand Krishna and his activities. What one has to understand? Krishna's Janma and Karma are both different. And one who understands it in that way, Tyaktva Deham Punar Janma Neti Mameti Arjuna. So he is assured of his perfection of life. Kṛṣṇa was the only worshipable deities for the Pandavas. When Maharaj Parikshit was in the womb of his mother Uttara, Kṛṣṇa saved him from the attack of the Brahmas Astra. Now Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukdev Goswami how his lordship Baldev, the son of Rohini, could have appeared in the womb of Devaki. Why did Kṛṣṇa transfer himself from Mathura to Vrindavan? King Parikshit asks, how did he live there and with his family members? What did Kṛṣṇa do in Mathura and Vrindavan? And why did he kill his material uncle Kamsa? For how many years did Kṛṣṇa reside in Dwarka? And how many queens did he have? Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukdev Goswami all these questions. He also requested Sukdev Goswami to describe other activities of Kṛṣṇa about which he could not inquire. So this canto begins with the inquisitiveness of Parikshit Maharaj. When Sukdev Goswami began to speak about Kṛṣṇa consciousness, Maharaj Parikshit forgot the fatigue brought about by his fasting. It was very important. So when they came to the 10th canto, few days had already elapsed, and Parikshit was hearing with such attention that he never felt any sleep, any fatigue. He did not felt any hunger, or he even did not felt any thirst. So Parikshit Maharaj forgot the fatigue brought about him by his fasting, and enthusiastic to describe Kṛṣṇa, Sukdev Goswami said, like the water of the Ganges, description of the activities of Kṛṣṇa can purify the entire universe. The speaker, the inquirer, and the audience all become purified. So wherever there is Kṛṣṇa Katha, who all gets benefit? The speaker, the inquirer, and also the audience. Once, when the entire world was overburdened by the increasing military power of demons in the form of kings, Mother Earth assumed the shape of a cow and approached Lord Brahma for relief. Sympathetic to Mother Earth's lamentation, Brahma, accompanied by Lord Shiva and other demigods, took the cow-shaped Mother Earth to the shore of Milk Ocean, where he offered prayers to please Lord Vishnu. One moment. So this is always been the trend that whenever the demigods are in trouble or whenever there is some disturbance, so all the demigods, they approach Brahma, and Brahmaji, along with other prominent demigods like Lord Shiva and Indra, he approaches Lord Vishnu. And this time the prayer is being made by Mother Earth because she has been overburdened by the demoniac kings. So they go to the shore of the Milky Ocean, it is called the Kshirshagar, where Lord Vishnu is residing, where he offered prayers to please Lord Vishnu, who lay on an island in transcendental ecstasy. Brahma thereafter understood the advice of Mahavishnu, who informed him that he would appear on the surface of the earth to mitigate the burden created by the demons. The demigods, along with their wives, should appear there as associates of Lord Kṛṣṇa in the family of Yadu to increase the sons and grandsons in the dynasty. And by the will of Lord Kṛṣṇa, Anantadev, who appears first as Balram, and Krishna's potency Yogmaya, will also appear. Brahma informed Mother Earth about this, and then he returned to his own abode. After marrying Devaki, Vasudeva was returning home with her on a chariot driven by Kamsa. So Kamsa, he was showing such love for his younger sister Devaki when she got married, that he agreed to become the chariot driver. But see how he responds. When an ominous voice addressed Kamsa, warning him that Devaki's 8th son would kill him. Upon hearing this omen, Kamsa was immediately ready to kill Devaki. What brotherly love he was showing towards his sister immediately changed. So much, to such an extent, that he was wanting and willing to kill his sister Devaki, whom he came to show his own affection. But Vasudeva diplomatically began to instruct him. Vasudeva stressed that it would not be good for Kamsa to kill his younger sister, especially at the time of her marriage. Anyone who possesses a material body must die. Vasudeva advised him, every living entity lives in the body for some time and then transmigrates to another body, but one is unfortunately misled into accepting the body as the soul. As a person under the mistaken conception wants to kill another body, he is condemned to hellish. Because Kamsa was not satisfied with Vasudeva's instruction, Vasudeva devised a plan. He offered to bring Kamsa all the Devaki's children, so that Kamsa could kill them. Why then should Kamsa kill Devaki now? Kamsa was satisfied by this proposal. In due course of time, when Devaki gave birth to child, Vasudeva brought the newborn baby to Kamsa, who upon seeing Vasudeva's magnanimity was struck with wonder. When Vasudeva gave Kamsa the child, Kamsa, showing some intelligence, said that since he was to be killed by the eighth child, why should he kill the first? Although Vasudeva did not trust him, Kamsa requested Vasudeva to take the child back. Later, however, after Narad approached Kamsa and disclosed to him that the demigods were appearing in the Yadu and Vishnu dynasties and conspiring to kill him, Kamsa decided to kill all the Kamsa decided to kill all the children born in these families, and he also decided that any child born from the womb of Devaki must be killed. Thus he arrested and imprisoned both Devaki and Vasudeva and killed 6 of their sons, one after another. Narad had also informed Kamsa that in his previous birth, Kamsa was Kalanemi, a demon killed by Vishnu. Consequently, Kamsa becomes a great enemy to all the descendants of the Yadu dynasty, Yadu Vangsha, the Yadu dynasty. He even arrested and imprisoned his own father Ugrasen, for Kamsa wanted to enjoy the kingdom alone. So this is what the demoniac person is. A typical demonic person is Kamsa. He wants to remain in power to be able to enjoy. And if there is anyone who comes as an impediment, as an obstacle in his enjoyment, he wants to kill that. Whether it is father, whether it is sister, whether it is the son of a sister, he does not care. Krishna has threefold pastimes, the Vraja Leela, Mathura Leela, and Dwarka Leela. So the 10th canto speaks about all the 3 Leelas. In particularly, majorly about the Vrindavan Leela, also about Krishna's Dwarka Leela. And it also describes the Leela of all the 3. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the 10th canto describes all the 3. So Prabhupada is summarizing that already mentioned the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. There are 90 chapters which describe all of these Leelas. The first 4 chapters describe Brahma's prayer for the relief of the earth's burden. And they also describe the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chapter 5 through 39 recount Krishna's pastime in Vrindavan, his childhood pastime. The 40th chapter describes how Krishna enjoyed in the water of the Yamuna and how Purāṇa offered praise. Chapter 41 through 51, 11 chapters, tell of Krishna's pastime in Mathura and Chopra. 52 through 90, 39 chapters relate Krishna's pastime in Dwarka. Chapters 29 through 33 describe Krishna's dancing with the gopis known as the Ras Leela. Therefore, these 5 chapters are known as Ras Panchadhyaya. The 47th chapter of the 10th canto is description known as the Bhagavad Gita. So this is the short introduction Prabhupada has given about what this entire 10th canto is, and in particular what this chapter will speak. So we'll begin the first verse. This is the first verse which starts with a question. And who is asking the question? Parikshit Maharaj is asking the question at the beginning, the first verse of the 10th canto to Sukadeva Goswami. Shri Raja Uvacha Katito Vamsa Vistaro Bhavata Som Suryayo Rajnam Chobhya Vamsyana Charitam Paramadbhutam. So King Parikshit said, my dear Lord, you have elaborately described the dynasties of both the moon god and the sun god, with the exalted and wonderful character of their kings. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking about the dynasties of Surya, Katito Vamsha Vistara, Bhavata Surya, Soma Suryaya. And what is very interesting to note here, that Parikshit Maharaj is not saying here, I want to know both about the sun god and the moon god. First he is saying here is Somaha, which is unusual. He is putting the moon first and the sun later. The Prabhupada will disclose why. At the end of the 9th canto, 24th chapter, Shukdev, I'm reading the translation. Okay, first let me read the translation, then the purport. King Parikshit said, "My dear Lord, you have elaborately described the dynasties of both the moon god and the sun god." So purposefully, Parikshit Maharaj is first inquiring about the moon god, not in a normal way of sun god first and then the moon god, with the exalted and wonderful character of their kings. So all these descriptions have happened in the first 9 chapters. At the end of the 9th canto, 24th chapter, Shukdev Goswami summarized the activities of Kṛṣṇa. He spoke of how Kṛṣṇa had personally appeared to reduce the burden on the earth, how he had manifested his pastime as a householder, and how soon after his birth he had transferred himself to his Vrajbhumi Leela. Parikshit Maharaj, being naturally a devotee of Kṛṣṇa, wanted to hear more about Lord Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, to encourage Shukdev Goswami to continue speaking about Kṛṣṇa and give further details, he thanked Shukdev Goswami for having described the activities of Kṛṣṇa in brief. Shukdev Goswami had said, Jato gata pitra grihad vajram edhitartho hitva rupam sutasatani kritodhara utpade teshu purusha kratubhi samike atmanam atmaniganam prathayam janishu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Shri Kṛṣṇa, known as Leela Purushottam, appeared as the son of Vasudev, but immediately left his father's home and went to Vrindavan. To expand his loving relationship with the confidential devotees. In Vrindavan, the Lord killed many demons, and after one, he returned to Dwarka, where according to Vedic principles, he married many wives, who were the best of women, begot through them hundreds of sons, and performed sacrifice for his own worship to establish the principles of householder life. So this is the background. The Yadu dynasty belongs to the family descending from Somaha. Soma is the sun god, or moon god, moon god. Surya is the sun god and Soma is the moon god. Although the planetary systems are so arranged that the sun comes first before the moon, Parikshit Maharaj gave more respect to the dynasty of the moon god, the Somansha, because the Yadava dynasty, descending from the moon, Kṛṣṇa had appeared. There are 2 different Kshatriya families of the royal order, one descending from the king of the moon planet and the other descending from the king of sun. Whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he generally appears in a Kshatriya family because he comes to establish the religious principles of life of righteousness. According to the Vedic system, the Kshatriya family is the protector of the human race. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Lord Ramachandra, he appeared in the Surya Vamsha. The family descending from the sun god. The families descending from the sun god, and when he appeared as Lord Kṛṣṇa, he did so in the Yadu dynasty or Yadu Vamsha, whose descent was from the moon god. In the 9th canto, 24th chapter, 6 of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there is a long list of the kings of the Yadu Vamsha. All the kings in both the Soma Vamsha and Surya Vamsha were great and powerful, and Maharaj Parikshit praised them very highly. Rajan Chobhaya Vamshayan Charitam Paramadhutam. Nonetheless, he wanted to hear more about the Soma Vamsha because that was the dynasty in which Kṛṣṇa had appeared. So this was the reason. So he wanted to first inquire about Kṛṣṇa. So Parikshit Maharaj showing his eagerness, his keenness to hear. The supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Kṛṣṇa is described in Brahma Samhita as the abode of Chintamani. Chintamani prakar sadme sukalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surabhira vipalayantam. The Vrindavan Dham on this earth is a replica of that same abode, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 8:20. In the spiritual sky, there is another eternal nature, transcendental to manifest and unmanifest matter. The manifested world can be seen in the form of many stars and planets such as the sun and moon. But beyond this is the unmanifested, which is the imperceptible. To those who are embodied and beyond this unsellable matter is the spiritual kingdom, which is described in the Gita as supreme and eternal. That kingdom is never annihilated. That kingdom is never annihilated, although material nature is subject to repeated creation and annihilation. That spiritual nature remains as it is eternally. In the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that spiritual nature, the Dham, elaborate descriptions of the above mentioned sloka from the 9th canto. Jato Gati Pitru Vihar will be found there in the 10th canto. So here we see the eagerness, the keenness, the desire of Parikshit Maharaj to know in detail. Many times we see, even in Bhagavad Gita, if Arjuna would not have asked questions, Kṛṣṇa would not have given such specific and such clear replies. So actually, if we see what is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, another understanding of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is Prashnottare Bhāgavate Kariyache Niradhara Yaha Rishavana Loke Lage Chamatkara. So Bhagavat is the evidence. So whatever we want to decide, it should be on the basis of the recommendation, the principles of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, not otherwise. Okay. Now we'll come to the second verse. Yadoscha dharma shilasya nitaram muni sattama tatra amshena avatirnasya vishnur viryani samshahana. So further question by Parikshit Maharaj. He says, O best of the munis, you have also described the descendants of Yadu, who are very pious and strictly adherent to religious principles. Now, if you will kindly describe the wonderful, glorious activities of Lord Vishnu or Kṛṣṇa, who appeared in that Yadu dynasty with Balram as the expansions. The purport to the second verse. There is further inquiring about the advent, the glorious activities of Lord Vishnu or Kṛṣṇa, who appeared in that Yadu dynasty, in the Soma dynasty. The Brahma Samhita 5.1 explains that Kṛṣṇa is the origin of the Vishnu Tattva. Ishvara Parama Kṛṣṇa Sachidananda Vigraha Anadira Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Kṛṣṇa is known as Govinda, the supreme controller. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Yes, eka nivashati khalam athvalambaya jivan tiloma virija jagadandanath Vishnu mahan sayayas kala vishesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The Brahmanas, the head of the innumerable universes, live only for the duration of one birth of Mahavishnu. I worship Govinda, the original Lord, of whom Mahavishnu is but a portion of the primary portion. Govinda, Kṛṣṇa is the original personality of Godhead. Kṛṣṇa is to Bhagavan Swayam. Even Lord Mahavishnu, who by his breathing creates many millions upon millions of universe. Lord Kṛṣṇa, Kala Vishesha, a plenary portion, Mahavishnu is the plenary expansion of Sankarshan. Who is the plenary expansion of Narayan? Narayan is the plenary expansion of the Chaturviha, and Chaturviha is the plenary expansion of Baldev. We all know that now. From Krishna comes Baldev and Srimati Radharani, and from Baldev comes the first quadruple, and from the quadruple there comes Narayan, and from Narayan's there is further expansions, Sankarshan. So this way there are innumerable expansions. Maharaj Parikshit requested Sukdev Goswami to describe Kṛṣṇa and his glorious activities. Another meaning may be derived from this verse as follows. Although Sukdev Goswami was the greatest Muni, he could describe Kṛṣṇa only partially, Amshena. For no one can describe Kṛṣṇa fully. It is said that Anantadev has thousands of heads, but although he tries to describe Kṛṣṇa with thousands of tongues, his descriptions are still incomplete. Very beautiful verse, very, very important verse, verse number 3. Third and fourth, both are important. We'll try to take both these verses. Although I am very much disturbed by fatigue, but by studying Bhagavatam, fatigue can be removed. Avatirnya yadu vanshe Bhagavan bhuta bhavana kritvanyani vishvatma tannovada vistarat. Again, Parikshit Maharaj is showing his very deep inclination and eagerness and interest. So what he's saying that Avatirna Yadur Vamshe, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, whereas he appeared in the Yadur Vamshe. So the Super Soul, the Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, and the cause of all cosmic manifestation, appeared in the dynasty of Yadu. And he is Bhagavan Bhuta Bhavana. Bhuta Bhavana means one who is the cause of all the cosmic manifestation. Please tell me elaborately about his glorious activities. Kritvan Jnani Vishwatma. What Kritvan Jnani means, whatever activities he performed. And who is he? He is the same Super Soul, Vishwatma. Tanno Vada Vistare. So kindly explain to me all his activities. So please tell me elaborately about his glorious activities and character from the beginning to the end of his life. So this is a perfect hearer, a transcendental hearer. He is never thinking to complete the hearing. He is always wanting to expand the hearing. And here, Parikshit Maharaj, after spending 5 days without a sleep, without eating or without drinking, with no fatigue, is saying, Tanno Vada Vistare. Kindly explain to me elaborately. Don't just, give me the brief, give me the full elaboration. In this word, the word Kritvan Yani indicate that all the different activities Krishna performed while present on the earth are beneficial to the human society. If religionists, philosophers, and people in general simply hear the activities of Krishna, they will be liberated. We have described several times that there are two kinds of Krishna Katha, represented by Bhagavad Gita, spoken personally by Krishna about himself, and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, spoken by Sukdev Goswami about the glories of Krishna. Anyone who becomes even slightly interested in Krishna Katha is liberated. These are the declaration of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So there should not be any iota of doubt. Prabhupada is saying, I'll repeat again, that anyone who becomes even slightly interested in Krishna Katha is liberated. Kirtana deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Rajet. Simply by chanting or repeating Krishna Katha, one is liberated from the contamination of Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised, Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. This is the mission of Krishna consciousness, to hear about Krishna and thus be liberated from material bondage. Third verse is even more nectarine. Nivrit tarshe ropagiyamana bhava shadashotra manobhirama ka uttam shloke gunanuvada puman virajyet vina pashunna. So who can hear actually? Who has the inclination to hear Krishna Katha? Prabhupada says that the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from the spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those who are no longer interested in false temporary glorification of the cosmic manifestation. So is Nivrit. Nivrit means he is released or he is free. From what? Tarshe. Tarshe means Krishna. From all the hankering and from all the aspirations and desires of material activities or material success. Who is Nivrit Tarshe? Such a person who is no longer interested in false temporary glorification of the cosmic manifestation. Description of the Lord are right medicine for the conditioned soul. Ka uttam shloke gunanuvada. So uttam shloke is what for him? Is bhava aushadhi. Aushadhi. Aushadhi means the medicine. And what kind of medicine is this? Bhava. Bhava means the repeated cycle of birth and death. So if one takes to the medicine of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, of attentive hearing, he will receive that aushadhi, he will receive that cure, that medicine that can release him, that can free him from the material existence of repeated birth and death. So descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord? So who will not hear? Only those who is a Bhagavatam says, therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord? Except a butcher or one who is killing his own self. One has to be a animal killer, or he has to be the killer of the self, of the soul killer. In India, it is the practice among the general populace to hear about Krishna either from Bhagavad Gita or from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, in order to gain relief from the disease of repeated birth and death. Although India is now fallen, when there is a message that someone will speak about Bhagavad Gita or Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, thousands of people still gather to hear. This verse indicates, however, that such recitation of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam must be done by persons completely freed from material desire. Nivritta Tarshe. Everyone within this material world, beginning from Brahma, down to the insignificant ant, is full of material desire for sense enjoyment. And everyone is busy in sense gratification. But when thus engaged, one cannot fully understand the value of Krishna, either in the form of Bhagavad Gita or Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. If we hear the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from liberated person, this hearing will certainly free us from the bondage of material activity. But hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam spoken by a professional reciter cannot actually help us achieve liberation. Krishna Katha is very simple. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As he himself explains, Matta Partanam Nanya Tintiya Punya. Oh Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Simply by understanding this fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can become a liberated person. But especially in this age, because people are interested in hearing Bhagavad Gita from the unscrupulous persons who depart from the simple presentation of Bhagavad Gita and distort it for their personal satisfaction, they fail to derive the real benefit. There are big scholars, politicians, philosophers, and scientists who speak on Bhagavad Gita in their own polluted ways. And people in general hear from them, being uninterested in hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from a devotee. A devotee is one who has no other motive for reciting Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. There are big scholars, who speak on Bhagavad Gita in their own polluted way, and people in general hear from them, being uninterested in hearing the glories of Supreme Personality of Godhead from a devotee. A devotee is one who has no other motive for reciting Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam than to serve the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore advised to hear the glories of the Lord only from a realized person. Bhāgavata parodiya bhagavate sthane. Unless one is a personally a realized soul in the science of Krishna consciousness, a neophyte should not approach him to hear about the Lord. But this is strictly forbidden by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who quotes from the Padma Purāṇa. It's a big purport. So is continuing on and on. Oh my God. There are 4 more pages. You have the patience to hear. Nivrit Tarasher. Who can hear? One who is free from all material aspirations and desires. So please hear. Please try to attentively hear. Unless one is personally a realized soul in the science of Krishna consciousness, a neophyte should not approach him to hear about the Lord. But this is strictly forbidden by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who quotes from the Padma Purāṇa. Avaishnavo mukhad ginim utam hari kathamritam shravanam neva kartavyam sarvochistam yathapaya. One should avoid hearing from a person not situated in Vaishnava behavior. A Vaishnava is Nivrit Darshan. This is very important. That is, he has no material purpose, for his only purpose is to preach Krishna consciousness. So-called scholars, philosophers, and politicians exploit the importance of Bhagavad Gita by distorting its meaning for their own purposes. Therefore, this verse warns that Krishna Katha should be recited by a person who is Nivrit Darshan. Sukdev Goswami, the proper recitation of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Worship Maharaj, who purposefully left his kingdom and family prior to meeting death, epitomizes the person fit to hear it. A qualified reciter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam gives the right medicine, Bhava Shati, for the conditions. Parikshit Maharaj, who purposefully left his kingdom and family prior to meeting death, epitomizes the person fit to hear it. A qualified reciter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam gives the right medicine, Bhava Shati, with the conditioned soul. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying to train qualified preachers to recite Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is what Srila Prabhupada says is the purpose of his call, is to train qualified preachers to recite Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So all of us should be well trained to be able to recite Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita throughout the entire world, so that people in general, in all parts of the world, may take advantage of this movement and thus be relieved from the threefold miseries of material existence. The instructions of the Bhagavad Gita and the descriptions of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam are so pleasing. What happened? You were able to hear? Sunai de raha hai?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear.
Okay. So Prabhupada is saying that the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and the descriptions of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam are so pleasing that almost anyone suffering from the threefold miseries of material existence will desire to hear the glories of the Lord from these books and thus benefit on the path of liberation. Two classes of men, however, will never be interested in hearing the message of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Who are these classes? Those who are determined to commit suicide. First class of people, those who do not hear Kṛṣṇa. Those who are determined to commit suicide and those determined to kill cows. No other animal for the satisfaction of their own tongues. Although such persons may make a show of hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam at a Bhagavad Sattva. But this is another creation of the karmis who cannot derive any benefit from such a performance. The word Pashubhnāt is important in this connection. Pashubhna means butcher. Person found of performing ritualistic ceremonies for elevation to the higher planetary system must offer sacrifice and yajnas by killing animals. Lord Buddha therefore rejected the authority of the Vedas because his mission was to stop animal sacrifice, which are recommended in the Vedic ritualistic ceremony. Indasi yagna vidhir ashuti jatam sadaya hridaya darshit pashubhatam Keshavadhrita Buddha Sharira Jai Jagadish Hare. Composition of Srila Jayadev Goswami Prabhupada is saying, even though animal sacrifices are sanctioned in the Vedic ceremonies, men who kill animals for such ceremonies are considered butchers. Butchers cannot be interested in Krishna consciousness, for they are already materially alone. The only interest lies in developing comforts for the temporary body. Bhogashvarya prasaktanam daya parita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhona vidiyati. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, who are bewildered by such things, their resolute determination of devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. 244 Sri Narottam Das Thakur says, Manushya janam paiya, Radha Krishna na bhajiya, Janiya, Shuniya, Vishekha. Anyone who is not Krishna conscious and who therefore does not engage in the service of the Lord is also Pashubhna. Pashubhna. For he is unwillingly drinking poison. Okay. Such a person cannot be interested in Krishna Katha because still has a desire for material sense gratification. He is not a Nivritta. It is said that three Vargikas, te Purusha Vimukha Hari Medasaha. Those interested in three Varga, that is Dharma, Artha and Kama, are religious for the sake of achieving a material position with which to gain better facilities for sense gratification. Such persons are killing themselves by willingly keeping themselves in the cycle of birth and death. They cannot be interested in Krishna consciousness or they cannot be interested in Krishna Katha. For Krishna Katha topics about Krishna consciousness, there must be a speaker and a hearer, both of whom can be interested in Krishna consciousness. If they are no longer interested in material topics, one can actually see this attitude automatically develops in persons who are in Krishna Katha. Sorry. For Krishna Katha topics about Krishna consciousness, there must be a speaker here. Both of them should be interested in Krishna consciousness. When they are no longer interested in material topics, one can actually see how this attitude automatically develops in persons who are Krishna conscious. Although the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement are quite young men, Prabhupada is saying the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement are quite young men. They no longer read materialistic newspapers, magazines, and so on. For they are no longer interested in such topics. They completely give up the bodily understanding of life for topics concerning Uttama Shloka, the supreme personality of Godhead, The spiritual master speaks and the disciple hears with attention. Unless both of them are free from material desires, they cannot be interested in topics of Krishna consciousness. So who will be able to hear the 10th canto? Who has this qualification? At least who is aspiring even. Prabhupada said, even a slight bit of interest. The spiritual master and disciple do not need to understand anything more than Krishna, because simply by understanding Krishna and talking about Krishna, one becomes a perfectly learned person. Kasmin bhagavo vigyatam sarvam idam vignatam bhavati. The Lord sits within everyone's heart, and by the grace of the Lord, the devotee receives instructions directly from the Lord himself, who says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridasannivishto matta smritirgyanam apohanam cha vedescha sarve rahameva vedyo vedanta kritved videva chaham. So I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known indeed. I am the compiler of Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedas. Krishna consciousness is so exalted that one who is perfectly situated in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the spiritual master is fully satisfied by reading Krishna Katha as found in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita and similar Vedic literature. Since merely talking about Krishna is so pleasing, we can simply imagine how pleasing it is to render service to Krishna. When discourses on Krishna Katha take place between a liberated spiritual master and his disciple, others also sometimes take advantage of hearing these topics and also benefit. These topics are the medicine to stop the repetition of birth and death. Bhava Aushadhi. The cycle of repeated birth and death by which one takes on different bodies again and again is called Bhava or Bhavaroga. If anyone willingly or unwillingly hears Krishna Katha, both. Willingly, that is very good. Even if he hears unwillingly, his Bhavaroga or disease of birth and death will certainly stop. Therefore, Krishna Katha is called Bhava Aushadha, the remedy to stop repetition of birth and death. Karmis or person attached to material sense enjoyment generally cannot give up their material desires. But Krishna Katha is such potent medicine that if one is induced to hear Krishna Kirtan, he will certainly be freed from this disease. A practical example is Dhruv Maharaj, who at the end of his tapasya was fully satisfied. And when the Lord wanted to give Dhruva a benediction, Dhruva refused. Swamin Kritartho Asmi Varamna Yache. My dear Lord, he said, I am fully satisfied. I do not ask for any benediction from material sense. We actually see that even young boys and girls in the Krishna consciousness movement have given up their long practice of bad habits like illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. Because Krishna consciousness is so potent that it gives them full satisfaction, they are no longer interested in material sense gratification. So I'll stop here. Initially, we will have to show some austerity. And while we continue to hear, as Prabhupada is saying, even willingly or unwillingly. So there is great merit. With great merit. What is the greatest benefit? That one will be free from the repetition of cycle of birth and death. Hare Krishna. Somebody wants to say something? Quickly. Time is up. We'll continue. Please put effort. Not many will be able to survive because here one's actual genuine taste will be tested. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.